Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time around was The Family of Blood. What was that one about?
Well, it was a continuation of the previous episode. The Doctor is being hunted by essentially herbivores again. They want his blood because that means that they can live forever or something. Anyway, they're stuck in 1913. They attack the all-boys school that the Doctor, as John Smith, has taken up residence as a teacher there, and ultimately he lures them. He says he'll give up and lures them back onto their own ship and manages to get their ship to do something, and then deliberately strands them individually in places where they can't escape literally for eternity. So, they wanted to live forever, and he essentially punished them by making them live forever.
Yeah, so... but yeah, it was a good episode. Very interesting. I saw a video. Apparently, there was some, Twitter controversy, which immediately just sort of discredits most of what I'm about to say. But there was some, Twitter controversy about those episodes of, well, why would the Doctor want to take Joan when she was racist to Martha? And it's was she? And it's just I guess a little bit, and it's it's not the worst racism Martha faced in those episodes, and it's just also the Doctor didn't know about that, but it's just I don't know, essentially it was a Twitter drama, and that just was all right.
Well, my take on that is that it's less about racism than it is about classism. All right, in 1913 in England, people of color were simply not thought to be upper class. And although there may have been some racism from some of the boys, I think the other people were just saying, look, if we had a white maid, she would also be discriminated against simply because she's lower class. So,
plus, because the main thing she says is well, a woman cannot be a doctor, and certainly not one of your color. And so people take that as Joan being racist. But what they fail to miss is literally 3 or 4 words before she puts down her own gender, basically. Because she says, women cannot train to be doctors, let alone, it's... I don't know. It was a whole thing. I saw a video on that. It was stupid. And I don't have anything else to really talk about before we get to this episode, so I just thought I'd bring it up. It came to my mind, so...
Yeah.
Anyway... we're on the last 4 episodes of this season, and this one is don't worry, this one is a nice standalone episode. This is not a 2-parter, nothing like that. We gotta wait a little bit to get to that with the finale. So, but this one is another one of those big episodes in the fandom, definitely, and pretty much after the 42 episode, the rest of this season is all just really great stuff. So, yeah. You got anything else, really?
No, this is one of the few episodes of New Who that I've actually heard of.
It's kind of hard not to hear about this one.
It introduces a new villain, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Or a group of villains.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Honestly, I'd rather you know something about this episode than the next 3 episodes after it, because we've got some interesting, fun stuff coming up in the finale, and I don't know, it's hard to surprise you at all in this show, so I'd like to keep some of that going, but
well, one of the titles is Last of the Time Lords, so that's kind of what we've been building up ever since New Who restarted.
Oh, yeah.
Is the fact that he's the last remaining one.
Yeah, so
except for when the face of Bo said, "You're not alone."
Oh, yeah. But we'll get to that in due time. I guess the only other thing to say is this week also still new Torchwood. We're going to be doing the season finale this week, and we will talk about it more in the Torchwood video. I'm pretty positive, but might be the end of the Torchwood reactions. But stay tuned for that. That's a good hook, actually, to get them to come over to Torchwood. So, anywho. But that's pretty much that, so we might as well just jump right into this episode.
Alrighty. Well, that's not a good idea.
No.
I mean, I have been in abandoned structures before, but I never kicked down anything. I mean, there's always a way to get in
Oh, yeah.
without... If it's boarded up, there's a reason for it.
Oh, and duck! The duck!
Let's go.
You know, honestly, with the like setting and the creep factor, this almost feels like an episode of Torchwood.
Oh, Stephen Moffat.
Back in the day, he had every creepy episode of Doctor Who.
Pants?
No. Put them on! Put them on! I hate you!
Now it really is a Torchwood episode.
Okay.
Back we go.
Let's investigate. You and me, girl investigators. Love it. Hey, Sparrow and Nightingale. That so works. At ITV. I know.
Oh, take a shot at your competitors.
I love old things. They make me feel sad.
What's good about sad?
It's happy for deep people.
Oh my god. It's every pretentious person on Tumblr.
I went through the old Victorian hunting lodge where we lived in 1963 there, just outside of Herringswell.
I was told to bring this letter on this date at this exact time.
Well, thank you,
to Sally Sparrow.
Dr. Jones. No, Dr.
It's old.
Brown.
Brown.
It is old.
Bah! Bah! That's gonna be this whole episode.
It's so hard to tell with film photographs, isn't it?
Apparently.
Bah!
Kathy?
Oh no. She was sent to the cow dimension.
Kathy?
This is totally sick.
Kathy? Kathy? Kathy?
So this is one of those Dr. Light episodes.
Yeah. It's like Love and Monsters, except it's better. Ah!
That's very subtle.
Yeah. I think they're all like just people. They just painted some actors and they're really good at it.
Yeah.
Ah! That guy's gonna be left confused for the rest of his life.
1902. I told him you were 18, you lying cow.
We've met, haven't we?
It'll come to you.
Oh my god.
There it is.
Sorry again about the whole... And what?
She loves you.
She what?
She said to say, she just sort of mentioned it. She loves you. Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
She ill?
No.
Am I ill?
No.
Is this a trick?
No.
Always hidden away, always a secret. Not even the publishers know how we got there. I've talked to the manufacturers, right? They don't even know. He's a ghost DVD extra. Just shows up where he's not supposed to be.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, time-wavy stuff.
Started well, that sentence.
It got away from me, yeah.
Okay, that was weird.
Go to the police, you stupid woman. Why does nobody ever just go to the police?
Eh. It's a great idea.
Wester Drumlin.
Yes.
Could you just wait here for a minute?
Now, what year is this supposed to be?
This should be probably 2007 by now.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the big question?
Will you have a drink with me?
I'm sorry.
Drink? You? Me? Now?
Are you on duty, Detective Inspector Shipton?
Nope. Knocked off before I left. Told them I had a family crisis.
Why?
Because life is short and you are hot. Drink? Is that your phone number?
Just my phone number. Not a promise, not a guarantee, not an IOU. Just a phone number.
And that's Sally.
Sally Shipton. Sparrow! Sally Sparrow.
I hate when I have to think about blinking. And now my eyes hurt.
Now, I wonder if it was really raining, or if that's something that they did to just make it creepier.
I don't know.
The only psychopaths in the universe to kill you nicely. No mess, no fuss, they just zap you into the past and let you live to death. You die in the past, and in the present they consume the energy of all the days you might have had. All your stolen moments. They're creatures of the abstract, they live off potential energy.
What in God's name are you talking about?
Yeah.
Trust me, just nod when he stops for breath.
Try it out with this. This is my timey-wimey detector. Goes dim when there's stuff. Also, it can boil an egg at 30 paces. Whether you want to or not, actually, so I've learned to stay away from hens.
I don't understand.
Exploding
Where am I?
chickens.
1969, like he says.
It was raining when we met.
It is
It's
raining
so
when we
rain.
met.
She looks nice.
Her name was Sally too.
Sally Shipton.
Sally Shipton.
There's a lot of Sallys going around, actually.
And what was the message?
Just this. Look at the list.
What does that mean? Is that it? Look at the list.
He said you'd have it by now.
Yeah, and check
A
it
list
twice.
of 17 DVDs.
Now, in a normal situation, I'd say they're setting her up to be a companion, but
Yeah.
You've only got 17 DVDs.
Do you have a portable DVD player?
Gosh, why?
I want you to meet me.
Where?
Western Drumlins.
Portable DVD players.
You live in Scooby-Doo's house.
see, that's what I like about Moffat and some of these other new writers. This is the creepy episode, but they always manage to inject humor.
Well,
We've got a transcript. See? Everything he says. Yep, that's me. Yes, I do. Yep, and this next is...
Are you going to read out the whole thing?
Sorry.
Who are you?
I'm a time traveller. Or I was, I'm stuck. In 1969.
Here I graduated high school.
All the space and time he promised me. Now I've got a job in a shop. I've got to support him.
Martha?
Sorry.
I've seen this book before.
It got away from me, yeah.
Next thing you're going to say is, well, I can hear you.
What I can hear you.
This is impossible.
No, it's brilliant.
Well, I can't hear you exactly, but I know everything you're going to say.
Always gives me the shivers up it.
How can you know what I'm going to say?
Look to your left.
What does he mean by look to your left? I've written tons about that on the front.
Okay, let me get my head around this. You're reading aloud from a transcript of a conversation you're still having.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Actually, never mind that. You can do shorthand.
So?
What matters is
That's
we
good,
can
I can't do
communicate.
shorthand.
We've got big problems now. They have taken the blue box, haven't they? The angels have the phone box.
The angels have the phone box. That's my favourite. I've got that on a t-shirt.
What do you mean, angels?
They are quantum locked. They don't exist when they're being observed. The moment they are seen by any other living creature, they freeze into rock. No choice, it's a fact of their biology. In the sight of any living thing, they literally turn to stone. And you can't kill a stone. Of course, a stone can't kill you either, but then you turn your head away. And that's it, I'm afraid. There's no more from you on the transcript. That's the last I've got. They are fast, faster than you can believe. Don't turn your back, don't look away, and don't blink. Good luck.
Thanks.
No, don't, you can't!
Or rewind him.
What good would that do?
You're not looking at the statue.
Neither are you.
Ah!
Who blinks? I'm too scared to blink.
Okay, we're going to the door. Front door.
Boy, we should have looked at the DVD before we came here and brought some duct tape. He's gone such a long time.
Why is it pointing at the light?
Oh my god, it's turning out the light! Quickly! I can't find the lock!
Why do they always pose dramatically?
Please insert the disc and prepare for departure.
Looks like a DVD player, there's a slot.
He needs to start doing that more often.
Oh my god, it's leaving us behind! Doctor, no, you can't!
How did they get in?
Well, it's the TARDIS left them.
I don't think we need to. He tricked them. The Doctor tricked them. They're looking at each other. They're never gonna move again.
You fell for it, fool. Oh.
Anyway. Milk. Backing him up.
Remember there was a phrase, Offamo. Back in Offamo.
Oh, they got a bow and arrow too.
Doctor, we haven't got time for this migration slide.
Look, sorry, I've got a bit of a complex life. Things don't always happen to be in quite the right order. Gets a bit confusing at times, especially at weddings. I'm not into weddings. Especially my own.
Oh my god, okay. Listen, one day you're going to get stuck in 1969. Make sure you've got this with you. You're going to need it.
Doctor!
Yeah, listen, gotta dash. Things happening. Well, four things and a lizard.
Okay.
Don't blink. Don't look away. And don't blink. Good luck.
And you now have a deep fear of all statues.
Now, that being said, that last little bit there, that reminds me of something I used to do. You may remember this from world history class. In the Middle Ages, although they were architecturally significant, most of the churches in Europe had gargoyles on them. And the gargoyles were these, evil-looking little dragon types. The idea was that they were supposed to be scary because they were scarier than the evil spirits that were supposedly coming for the people, and putting them around the church would scare evil spirits away. but architecturally speaking, they were really just decorative downspouts. So when the rain would hit the roof of the church, the water would go rushing out of them. And as you probably realize, when you hear water coming out of a big spout like that, it gurgles. The word gargoyle literally comes from the word gurgle. So, but yeah, this is something that people in old cities in Europe and even in the United States, especially on the East Coast, you see those gargoyles and you never think anything about it because they're there. You've seen them all your life, but they actually had a purpose then. And to take something as ordinary as gargoyles and turn them into a group of eternal villains, that's just brilliant. Again, the writing is just absolutely fantastic on this.
Well, I was going to say, it's like, I feel like a lot of movies and stuff, whenever like a demon like starts attacking the land, they like start possessing the gargoyles. With the exception of like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, then they're the comic reliefs, but that's just Disney being Disney, so.
Yeah. Needless to say, if you've ever read Notre Dame de Paris, which is the actual French title of it, the gargoyles don't play any part of it.
Well, yeah, so yeah, it's a very good episode, definitely. And for, this is our second Dr. Light episode. Yeah, so which one do you prefer? Do you prefer this or Love and Monsters?
This is infinitely better written.
Yeah. I enjoyed Love and Monsters more the second time around, but watching this is just like, no, this is a really, really good episode.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm always fascinated that, now, Moffat was in the Sherlock Holmes series. Was he acting in that?
No.
No?
He wasn't. Mark Gatiss was, because he played Mycroft.
Okay. I was going to say, if this guy is both an actor and a writer, I bow to him because he's a brilliant writer, and if he was as good an actor as he was a writer, I was going to say, that's a double threat.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing that I don't want to say he loses some of this once he becomes showrunner of Doctor Who, but there tend to be less horror episodes that he writes as showrunner because this kind of became the thing. It was around this point where I started to, every time I caught his name, I was just like, ooh, we're in for something creepy today, because he did The Empty Child 2-parter. What did he do last season? Oh, well, he did the Girl in the Fireplace last season, which was kind of creepy, but also, the main villains of that was creepy.
Yeah.
And then now he does this. He'll go on to do some more creepy stuff in the next season before taking over as showrunner. But it is kind of this thing where it's like, I feel like some of his best episodes, he has a lot of good episodes as showrunner, but a lot of his best episodes are kind of outside his own tenure as showrunner. A lot of them during this era, and then we're getting some newer ones. He's come back and written new episodes for Shudigawa. So
now in Classic Who, didn't the BBC frown on that, having the producer or what we would now call the showrunner? They didn't like them writing scripts or being script editor, and that's why a lot of the shows were under assumed names, under pseudonyms, because they had actually done that and then realized that they weren't supposed to, or knew they weren't supposed to, so they simply put a different name on it.
Maybe. I guess now that you mention it, I don't remember a single episode actually being written by John Nathan Turner back in the day, but it's entirely possible that he was editing a lot of the scripts and stuff. Yeah. So,
but I remember seeing a lot of the comments where they said, people who were connected with the show wanted to do scripts all the time, but it was a BBC policy that they shouldn't do that. So I remember one, they said they actually hired someone to do it, and then wrote the scripts themselves and just put this other person's name on it.
Yeah, maybe. All I really know is that between the two eras of Doctor Who, just the entire structure of how they create these shows changed. Instead of producer John Nathan Turner was probably editing some scripts and was vaguely kind of in charge and stuff, but then you have the showrunner, and that's such a major thing with modern Doctor Who. Yeah. is the showrunners. So but honestly, after seeing the episodes in in the RTD era, I would totally, if I was the BBC, I would totally be like, okay, RTD's leaving, let's give it to Stephen Moffat. And it's kind of the same thing when once you get to Chris Chibnall, where it's just like he's written a lot of good episodes. He's written some good episodes of Torchwood as well, and so it's just like, yeah, it makes sense that someone would pick Chibnall to be a showrunner. So, but it's a very good. It's just such a creepy episode. The other thing too, because this is the first appearance of the Weeping Angels, and the Weeping Angels have now kind of cemented themselves as one of the biggest Doctor Who villains, and it's such an amazing thing, because there are some more iconic villains that are introduced in modern Doctor Who, but this was kind of the first where it's like, all right, this is kind of now up there, especially with like how widespread people know it. This is kind of up there now with the Daleks, the Master, the Cybermen. Like, this is now a staple of Doctor Who. They're not brought back all the time. They're not like season villains or anything, but they are brought back every so often, and it's just terrifying every time they do it.
Now, my only quibble is right at the very beginning, and I may have missed it. Did they say what Sally's occupation was or anything? Because my question is, why was she out there in the building in the first place?
No, all she said was that she likes old places like this because it makes her feel sad, which is happy for deep people, which is like the most 2007 internet thing I could ever hear. Yeah. Like that the early 2000s were such an edgelord phase for society as a whole that perfectly makes sense. So,
but if again, we always say just one sentence. If she was a freelance photographer, and she was out, she liked taking pictures of the place, just something like that. Because, again, in my opinion, you have a very intelligent young woman who's going into a place that has literally a sign, "Danger, don't go in here," and she goes inside and then brings her friend to go back there. It just, it's just one of those little things that just kind of nags at the almost, a 99% perfect episode with that little 1%.
I mean, because it's just like the thing of like, she just happened to like something like the old house there, and they said like for 2 years the Weeping Angels have been sending people back in time and consuming their life energy, and it's only now that they kind of waited on that, because they're kind of observing her like, well, wait a minute, I don't know about, like, they don't take her immediately, but that's because they figure out that she can lead them to the key and the TARDIS. So that's why it takes them a while to actually get around to attacking her. So
now that brings up another question. She got the key from one of the angels. How did they not know how to use it?
Well, I guess it's that they didn't have the TARDIS specifically, because she got the key. They had the key at the house, and she took it from them there. And she said that after that, because they figured out, okay, she's the one who will lead us to the TARDIS, so they didn't know that it was in London. They had just been hanging out at the house the whole time. So after that, they followed her to London, at which point D.I. Shipton had the TARDIS. But then they had the TARDIS and didn't have the key, so they had to go deal with her at that point.
All right. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that was one of those fuzzy little things. I was going, wait a minute, why do they have the key?
And it's such an interesting thing, because it's like they don't, for this now iconic villain in Doctor Who, you get no sense of what they are really whatsoever, except for they are just they're creatures that feed off of energy and stuff, but they don't really have personalities. They can't talk because you can't see them talk. Specifically, I like, even like with this episode, there are a couple shots where it's like, well, they're not really like when they were like shaking the TARDIS back and forth, and it's like, well, they're not looking at each other at that point, but when the light comes on, they're still frozen as statues, and it's like, well, at that point, why would they be frozen as statues? Nobody's looking at them. And then you realize, wait a minute, we're looking at them. And so it's like this, like, fourth dimensional, we're breaking the fourth wall, basically. Like, in the episode, they cannot move because the audience is looking at them. And that's always just a fun little bit about the Weeping Angels.
Now, I know you don't like forwarding here at the end because there's the preview, but I would be interested to see the actors who were playing the angels, or if that was...
Let me see here. Skip ahead just a little bit. I did it perfectly.
Carey Mulligan. Oh, I thought I recognized her. That's interesting. Yeah, she would go on to... I think she has an Academy Award. But they don't have...
Well, might be in, like...
They don't have all the prosthetics there.
Yeah. No, I guess not. That's so strange that they don't actually have who played them. Because that's the thing. They are people, and they're very, very convincing.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible makeup job, the prosthetic, putting the face on them and then just holding completely still during that. Yeah. So but yeah, and I think maybe another thing with the Weeping Angels, why they're so popular, is this kind of feels like it could be a classic Who villain. Like, you could have probably had the Weeping Angels in an old Doctor Who story, as long as you can get the makeup right and everything, and just there's no CG or anything, any crazy effects you have to do. You just have to have people that can stand completely still.
And if the film editor had to do a wonderful job, because again, you got all these shots where you literally have to time them just perfectly to catch them, just 2 or 3 seconds of them being frozen, then it goes somewhere else, and then there's some... So yeah, that's again just a very well put together episode.
Yeah. And it's just it's almost like, I mean, I guess that's just it. It's so simple that it's so effective as a villain, and because even you can look at the Daleks, and the Daleks are also kind of simple, of just robots that kill people. You can get deeper with that, obviously, about their connection and their the inspiration of Nazi Germany and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they are robots that say exterminate, and the kids can say that on the school bus, and it's all nice and good. And here it's just I guess this is kind of another thing. Is you could totally see kids on a playground acting that out. Someone has to be the Weeping Angel. I can completely see kids doing that. So it's such an effective thing.
Yeah, that's kind of a creepy take on red light, green light.
Yeah, basically.
Now, what kind of a guy sits around going, what would be really creepy? Let's do a horror version of red light, green light.
Yeah.
What are you smoking, dude?
Yeah.
You got the good stuff.
It's weird. I wouldn't put it past Stephen Moffat to have thought that specifically, and then that goes into a horror episode. So, but yeah, and it's just so effective, because it's funny because we just watched, last week we watched the Torchwood episode with Captain Jack Harkness, and Jack and Tosh get trapped back in time and stuff, and they're trying to send messages to the Torchwood team to get them the equations to open the rift and stuff, and Tosh is leaving these notes and stuff like that. And this basically kind of did that, but 1,000 times more effective of, immediately, before we even know anything, before anything terrible has happened, the guy shows up and he's like, I've got the letter from my grandmother who died 20 years ago. She made me promise that I would do this. Please just take it. And to him, all of this is weird. Basically, he gave this, and this woman just looked over his family photos and just was insulted and disgusted. And so that man's going to be confused for the rest of his life. But
I'm sure that after this all finished up, she probably went. Sally went back and said, "Hey, listen, I got to tell you, this is what happened."
Maybe, yeah. So you have that. Then you have D.I. Shipton, who she had just talked to. The rain hadn't even stopped, and getting a call, and she goes there, and he's 50 years older now, and then he dies, and it's just between that and then the DVD was just a brilliant thing, because you start thinking how can he have a perfect conversation, and then you just slowly start to look over, and it's because you just said you're gonna write it all down. That's how he knows that, because you're writing it down as it's happening. So it's such a great way of like playing with time travel, despite the fact that they just don't have the TARDIS. Like they're not actually traveling through time. It's just sending these messages back and forth. It's like the world's craziest game of telephone is how to send messages through time. So, and then even just that culminating in the end where she does see the Doctor and Martha again, but they haven't lived through that yet. And so it's just like, well, take this stuff, you be sure you have it on you because you're going to get trapped in 1969. The Doctor's like, okay, I will be sure of that. Puts it in his coat and he's got it for when they're both zapped away. So it is also, it's unfortunate because it's like all of this is basically, it's to stop the Weeping Angels, and it's to get, the Doctor and Martha back to the TARDIS and back to the present time without them, because they were zapped back by the Weeping Angels, but they didn't die, so the angels did not take their life energy. Unfortunately, it's so unfortunate that means two people still had to die because of that, had to get zapped away by the Weeping Angels.
Now, I'm guessing the next episode does not start with the Doctor and Martha with bows and arrows?
No.
Okay, so there's no four things in a lizard?
No, that's one of those. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a comic book or something. Maybe that's referenced later, but no, I have no idea what they were doing with four bows and arrows. Although they said, like, oh, it's about time for, like, hatching or something. Yeah. I wonder if whatever adventure they go on, he makes the timey-wimey detector that he says can boil an egg, in 30 paces, and he found that out the hard way, and he just happened to have that on him when he was transported back to 1969. So
exploding chickens.
Well, yeah, poor things.
Mind boggles.
Well, yeah. But anyway. But yeah, it's such a great episode.
It is. Wonderful.
And we've got 3 more great episodes, and then we're moving on to season 4, and all that has great episodes too. So, if I remember right, I don't think season 4 has anything like 42 or anything like that, where it's just like, well, those are okay or something. Where it's like, I think season 4, for the most part, is pretty solid, and if I remember correctly, it is looked on as probably the best season of modern Doctor Who. Just to, temper your expectations about it.
Now, the only one I've seen of that is Waters of Mars.
Yes, and technically that's after season 4, because it's part of the end specials. They did a couple specials after season 4, and that rounded out Tennant's era. So, but yeah. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then that is pretty much it. We've got to go film Torchwood now, which is moments said before disaster. It's fine. It'll be a fine episode of Torchwood, but that is basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our Doctor Who modern reactions, as well as another playlist with every Doctor Who reaction that's on the channel. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.